Hey there! Today we are taking a look at H, I, and J, and where do all these monsters come from 1977 to 2016 and the present. So in H's you have a halfling, which of course is now relegated to a player character race in the modern version. And look at these halflings. These are more in line with what J.R.R. Tolkien had. And of course halflings, long about 3rd or 4th edition, they became these skinnier versions of them. And of course in the monster manual here you have the tall fellows, which are 4 feet tall. And of course that would just be right up to like your belly button. And halflings really were more like toddler size. They were very, very, very small. So anyway, and then of course Harpy, which is a mythical creature, and Hellhound. Hellhounds are awesome. I love them. They're just such a very simple creature that can just fit in as a side threat, a troublemaker in so many great encounters. And they're so, what's the word I'm looking for? They're like iconic. All right, Hippocampus, which has been dropped. That was a horse with a back tail of a fish. And Hippogriffs. Now, hippogriffs are, you know, they're mythological creatures, but I mean, come on. How often would you actually put these in adventures? Well, quite a bit, actually, because they're steeds. And that's something that played a prominent role in early Dungeons and Dragons. In fact, I can't really show you. The back cover of Hall of the Fire Giant King used to have them. And many cool, iconic creatures, they find their way into Lost Caverns of Sarkanth, which, if I can find it, come on now. No, I'm doing something off screen. Everybody just calm down. No. Yeah, here you go. You find a bunch of hippogriffs in the wilderness there. All right, hey, let's keep going. Homunculus, which of course goes on to today, but of course, like many creatures that could be created by wizards in 1st edition Dungeons & Dragons, that has been stripped out and they're just a monster. As far as I know, Hydra had subtypes of a Lernian Hydra, which had more heads that would come out. And then Pyrohydra, which could breathe fire. And each head could do it twice per day. So if you had an 8-headed Hydra and it causes 8 hit points, you're talking about basically turning someone into a pile of ash. A hyena, those are just regular monsters. Imp. Now let's talk about Intellect Devourer. So first off, in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, Yole Player's Handbook, also, guess what? It had rules for psionics in it. In the back, and there was a chance, like not many people would have psionics, and here you go, here's the psionic section. Telekinesis, telepathic projection, telepathy, telepathic projection, just so many psionic powers. And these fit, so, and it was like not a very small section. It just had like a lot of really great things about it. And of course you couldn't just choose to be a psionicist. There was like maybe like a 2 in 100 chance that it could happen. So what's happened is a lot of the psionic creatures that are in here have found their way into the modern monster manual, but not as cool. So what happened is they've got a lot of their powers were stripped out, and they also, here you go, Intellect Devourer in the modern monster manual. And of course it just has spell-like abilities like, what is it, Direct Sentience, Multi-Attack, Body Thief. Oh yeah, it doesn't even have psionic powers. Haha, hilarious. All right, so anyway, the original Intellect Devourer, let's see, Illithid, Creation's Deadly Puppet Masters, where's size here? It just said, oh, Tiny Aberration. That's like 12 inches. It's like that, you know? It's tiny. So like maybe a couple of feet tall. So a little bit of a change there, because it goes medium, small, tiny. And Intellect Devourer here is medium. So it's like a man-sized creature, and that's usually how in the modules they were portrayed. In fact, let me just see if I can find the art for that. So Intellect Devourer's up here in the 1980 module Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. And let me just see if I can find the picture. There you go. An Intellect Devourer stalking the heroes. And it's hard to tell because of perspective of exact size, but it's about the size of a big dog at the very least. So yeah, that's some cool art there. Wow, I am really giving you guys a journey. Now, Intellect Devourers, oh boy, I'm gonna like really waste time on this. They had a thing where, yeah, Hide in Shadows is 10th level Thief. Normal weapons and most spells have no effect upon these monsters. Magical weapons +3 or more cause 1 point of damage upon them when they hit. So you would need a weapon, a very powerful magic weapon, because in first edition they went from +1 to +5. I think nowadays it just goes +1 to +3, and they've got 6+6 hit dice, so you're talking like 30 hit points. So these guys were really tough customers. Plus they had attack defense modes C, E, F, G. That meant something, by the way. And you had psionic points. They have 200. So these guys had psionic powers, and plus all of their other things, where they can just, yeah. And then they can house themselves within the mindless body, seeking to deceive others by assuming the character of the person it has slain. Yeah, incredible. What an absolutely fantastic monster. So great. And quite frankly, I'm really sorry, Intellect Devourer, that you are only a shadow of your former self. And I would encourage DMs to, boy, rebuff these guys up. And of course, in the supplement book, Lords of Madness, which I've not been able to find, it's around here somewhere. I was actually looking for it yesterday. Lords of Madness is a must-have. It's hard to find. It's a little expensive, but get that book. It's crazy. You'll never be the same person again. Invisible Stalker has no illustration. I absolutely love that. That's fantastic. Oh, and back to Hydra. In the new 5th edition one, there is no Pyro Hydra. I have in my modules a Cryo Hydra. And there's lots of great variations as a DM that you can just make up for Hydras that will turn them from blah to ultra cool. Oh, one of my favorites. All right, are you ready for this? And I actually made models for this, for an encounter, is that a Hydra had Intellect Devourers in its heads. And so when they kill the Hydra, out come the Intellect Devourers. Like the skull, they think they've won, but the skulls split open, and out come these other creatures. It's a great encounter. It was part of my Isle of Doom series that I did. All right, so Ixochitl, they do not appear in the new monster manual. They are gone. Invisible Stalker actually has an illustration here, but in the original monster manual, it was just blank, which I loved. I was like that. I'm like, oh, that's a clever way. So we're now into the J's. We've got Jackal. Again, I'm just going to skip all these regular monsters. Where are we? Oh, we're doing good for time. That's great. Jackalware, still the same thing. And when I look at monsters, I look at, like, how can they create an interesting encounter? So if they're just by themselves, are they interesting? Or is it just a beat stick? Like, oh, look, something's here. Oh, let's keep track of numbers. These numbers are going down. Okay, now they're at 0. All right, guess this encounter's over. Instead of like something interesting. And what I love about the Jackalwares is their sleep ability. And they can shape change. So these are great. These should live forever. They're absolutely fantastic. And it gets rid of the whole werewolf thing. So Jackalwares could be anywhere. I mean, yeah, they're just absolutely an amazing creature. Anything could be a Jackalware. All right, so now I guess that's the J's, and that's really all I wanted to do. Yeah, I've got time, so let's plow right into Kenku. So we're into the K's now. Now, Kirin is absent. However, I think Key-Rin is in one of the expansion books. Oh, I still didn't bring them down. Lame. So you've got kobold. Now, kobolds have kind of changed in their aesthetics over the years from this dog-like creature to something a little more dragony. So, yeah. So the old description of a kobold was the hide of kobolds runs from dark, very dark rusty brown to a rusty black. They have no hair. Their eyes are reddish and their small horns are tan to white. They favor red or orange garb. Kobolds live for up to 135 years. That's nuts. And there was this great illustration here of kobolds attacking a party. And so they were very... I love this. I need to make this into a magic item, this ant shield. That's pretty awesome. So in the original Monster Manual, only 2 things in the K section. And kobolds, of course, have changed a lot. And yeah, that's really weird. So yeah, and then over the years, they changed these trap makers. That they're such an iconic monster that they really have got a lot of really great attention. There's an old module called Dragon Mountain, which I don't own. I want to own it. Again, it's hard to find. I think it's at least $100 for this box set, maybe even more depending on condition. And so yeah, kobolds, kraken, I don't know. This could turn into a whole campaign here. Kuo-toa, now I made in my version of the GDQ series, I made a whole different species of Kuo-toa. It meant people of the water or something like that. So yeah, I made a whole bunch of really awesome creatures for that. So let's take a look at Shrine of the Kuo-toa, where they appear. Now the original D series was a monochrome, and it was separate, but they combined D1 and D2, which are very short modules, into one thing, called it Descent into the Depths of the Earth, and that came out in 1980. And of course somewhere, in fact, I think I have one of the monochromes of it in here. Yeah, don't get excited for my collection of modules. They are unresellable because they're in really bad shape. So yeah, this is how they originally happened there. And Descent into the D2 was called Shrine of the Kuo-toa, which I do not have, or do I have it? Let's just, let's take a look. We owe it to our lives. Take a look. And I do not have that. That's weird. I thought I did. All right, so anyway, let's continue. So you had Shrine of the Kuo-toa. Yeah, this, and by the way, all of these, the original modules were meant to just give you ideas. You know, they just gave you sort of these generic things, and you would bring it to life. And that's what I'm definitely doing with the Elan's modules. I'm giving you tons of ideas and letting you sort of piece it all together. Oh yeah, there's literally no pictures of Kuo-toa in this module. That's kind of weird. Oh yeah, no, here you go. New race. So again, this is all Gary Gygax. He's sitting there at a typewriter, and he doesn't know that he's making history. He's just typing all this stuff out. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm in a tiny little office. I am secluded, and I'm just typing and typing and typing. Oh, here we go. More lovely Kuo-toa art too. Oh, and that's Sverfneblin. So those are not humans. And yeah, they're just fighting. So yeah, and just huge blocks of text. Genius Gary Gygax text. And if you can't tell, I really think Gary Gygax is amazing. All right, so anyway, you've got three different types of Kuo-toa in the new Monster Manual. And there you have it, guys. We've done H, I, J, and K well within time. That's really exciting. And yeah, a Lich. Ooh, yeah, the L's are going to be really a cool video. There's a lot to them. All right, guys, that's all I got to say. You know what? We've got a few minutes. Why don't we take a look in the Yole Monster Manual 2. So it was Monster Manual, Fiend Folio, then Monster Manual 2. I know I keep repeating myself. And, oh, Hags! Hags! How silly of me. So the new Monster Manual has Hags in it. And they're all sort of bunched together. You've got 3 different types. You've got Green Hag, night hag, and sea hag. Well, it didn't used to be that way. The original Monster Manual has no hags in it. Oh, but it does. It has the night hag. Oh, I'm going in the wrong one. Well, here you go. So Monster Manual 2 had a green hag, which was just one word, green hag. And then they also have a hag type called an anise. Let's go ahead, since we've got a minute. Let's just zip over to anise. Oh yeah, we should do Monster Manual 2 separately. So yeah, an anise is race Vanis are relatives of the night hags of the lower plains. Their appearance is similar to night hags, but anise are larger and more physically powerful, and they dwell naturally upon the prime material plane. They're giantesses. So, well, it says large as 7.5 to 8 feet tall, which doesn't seem very large to me. And there you go. So, spell casting, stuff like that. But in the old modern Monster Manual, you've got the Sea Hag. I don't know where that one starts. But anyway, so in the original Monster Manual, the Night Hag is in the inn section, and we're going to see that. So that is something that has changed over the years, is the old hags. All right, thanks for tuning in. More to come. I am going to put this video all into one giant video at the end. It'll be like 4.5 hours long. It's going to be a lot of fun, and thanks for tuning in.